Hey, I'm Dan, learning how to skate again in my 40s, and I apologize. It's been such a long time since I've posted. I really am sorry about that. I'm still getting out there skating, trying to learn new tricks. See, the problem was that I broke my foot. I was doing a flat ground session in early summer of 2022, and I landed off the board, rolled my left ankle really hard, so hard that the tendon actually popped the end off of one of the bones in my left foot. And I was in this walking boot for a couple of months, and it really was kind of like a 6-month recovery period. I filmed a lot in that period, but I ended up kind of throwing most of that away because in reality, I just needed that time to recover myself, kind of get my attitude and my confidence back. And so now I'm feeling pretty solid. I think it's been 8 or 9 months at this point in time. And time to do some more filming and try to share some of this stuff with you. So what I want to share in this video is how do we keep skating longer, either longer in life or having a longer session, because you have less impact on your body that allows you to, to do this more and enjoy skating without killing yourself in the process. So I want to share some of the stuff that I've tried over the years. This is all stuff that I bought with my own money. None of this is sponsored. One of the first things I tried were these trucks from Avenue, these Avenue suspension trucks. And basically the base of the truck is this giant piece of steel that acts as a spring. And then to offset the weight of that piece of steel, they make the hanger out of titanium. So when you land on these things, the spring, it's really, really hard to press it, as you can see. But when you land on it with all that force, the spring compresses just a little bit. And that absorbs some of the shock. And it really is nice, actually, skating those. The problem is that it's difficult to learn tricks. So I skated those for about 6 months. I did enjoy that. The cushioning feeling of it, but I just had such a hard time because they're heavy, they're kind of a weird geometry, they turn kind of funny. So learning how to do tricks was pretty tough. I don't know, maybe when I get even older, I'll pick them back up again, but for now, I want to stick on normal trucks. By the way, I'm on Thunders now, really enjoying the Thunders. I've gone through Ventures, Indies, the Tensor mag lights, and now I'm on to Thunders. And I feel like I'm going to stick with Thunders for a little while. We'll see. Another thing that I've tried are different insoles. So this is an insole from Footprint. This is their, I think, game changer, and it kind of conforms to the shape of your foot. And this is really important. I have different ones in my shoes right now. But at the same time that I was fighting that broken foot, I was also fighting Achilles tendonitis in my popping foot. I just was overused and I wasn't doing the right exercises. So in this period of recovery, it's also been fighting off Achilles tendonitis, working my way through that, getting actually both of my Achilles back in good shape. And those are doing pretty well. Having the right fitting shoes and the right type of insole really makes a big difference there. Now, another thing that I tried was Rick to Clouds for wheels. So this is a soft wheel. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Lost it there. This is a really soft wheel. It's a 92 durometer. And you can put your fingernail into it. It's kind of soft. And it really does absorb impact. It's pretty cushiony. I really like skating these, except that the skateability suffers when it comes time to like scooching out a backside 180 or any kind of a trick where you land just off a little bit and you need to scooch it out. It's really hard to do with these because they just stick. So even though I liked the feel of those, I gave up on them and went over to Formula 4s from Spitfire. For probably a couple of years, I've been skating tablets and classics from Formula 4. 99A, 52 millimeter. Those have been great wheels, but it's a very hard wheel. And so while you can scoot out your tricks nicely, which is great, the problem is when you land on the ground, all the force hits the wheel, goes right through the wheel, right through the trucks, through the board, and into your feet, and then your whole frame, and you feel really everything. And so when I saw that Powell came out with their new Dragons, let's grab these guys, Powell Dragons, I think these are 93 durometer, 52 millimeter. It's a very similar size to those Spitfire Classics. The whole thought here is that these guys are supposed to have the skateability of a harder wheel, but the cushioning of that softer wheel. And the reality is they kind of do. And so I have a lot of footage that I've filmed over the last 3 months as I've been riding on these. They're on the blue board behind me. I also still have Formula 4s on the red board. And so I've taken both of those with me most of the time when I go out to skate, and I'm finding that I'm riding the Dragons most of the time. They're just so much more comfortable of a wheel to skate on. So I'm going to flip to some old clips over the last 3 months as I've been experimenting with the Dragons. I'm going to probably talk along the way of what I was finding and how I was feeling at the time, and then we'll get back to wrap this thing up here in a bit.
Okay, I've got 3 different boards with 3 different sets of wheels. First are Spitfire Formula 4s. These are classics in a 99A, 52 millimeter. I've been skating these types of wheels for the last year or so and love them. They slide well. They are hard. Then I've got Ricta Clouds. These are 92As, 52 millimeter. Nice and soft. They do well on rough ground, but they do not slide any way, shape, or form. And then the new Powell Dragons, 52 millimeter, 93A durometer. So we're going to try all 3 of these, compare them, see how they do. Rictus. Okay, so the Rictus slide-ish, not well. I could barely land any of those backside 180s or power slide 180s, whereas on the Dragons I was landing them every single time. Last up, Formula 4. Okay, so as expected, the Formula 4s slide great. At least as well as I can make them slide with my skill level. But man, they're uncomfortable after riding those Dragons. They just feel so bumpy and rocky, even on this relatively smooth ground. So I'm starting to really enjoy the Dragons. 45 minutes in, and I have to really say, I like them. I like them a lot. They're easier on the knees than the Formula 4s are. When you jump back on the Formula 4s, they just seem so, I don't know, harsh. It is a little harder to kind of power slide out of tricks that I land poorly. I've got my tiny little rail out. I'll show you here in a second. Trying to get some tricks back after my broken foot. And when I land these things kind of at a 90-degree angle, it's kind of hard to power slide out of it, but it's not too bad. So let's take a few more tries at that. All right, we're gonna try some nose slides. See if those sticky wheels get stuck on my little 10-inch ledge here. They carry so much more speed on this reasonably rough ground. It's like one little push and it's plenty of speed. It's even faster than I want. It's kind of nice. You got to pop all the way up there. It doesn't work if you only get part way up. Let's try it again. All right, I gotta be honest. That was a case where I feel like if I was on Formula 4s, I could have slid it out. It wasn't a good land, but I could have slid it out if I was on Formula 4s. I just got stuck on the Dragons. Okay, I finally got the 180 out and didn't kill the camera in the process. I don't know, ledge consensus, they slide. Not quite as good as Formula 4s, but pretty good. I like it. It's a softer land too. Like when you come off of that thing, it's buttery. Much better than landing on a pile of rocks with Formula 4s. Okay, it's been about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. My Achilles is starting to tell me that it's time to be done for the day, so I'm gonna listen. I will say I skated the Dragons almost the whole time. I really liked them. Better on the knees, better on the feet. Didn't help so much with the Achilles, that's from popping. But I'm gonna keep skating the Dragons and pretty happy about them. Woo. Okay, second session at the local skate park on the smooth ground with the Dragons. And it's interesting, so I have two setups that are pretty identical. I've got Dragons on Thunders on this sort of 31.5-inch, 14-inch wheelbase board, and then I've got Formula 4s on Indies on a similar size board. And I'm finding myself going for the Dragons kind of for the whole session. Now, it's kind of humid today, and when it's humid or foggy, I find that they don't slide well at all on this smooth ground. So they're a little sticky, and they're also super fast, but they're fun to ride. So I keep riding them. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, one of the concerns I had is if the wheels are gonna wear down too quickly. You know, they're a soft urethane, so they're probably gonna wear out fairly quickly. Normally I get about 6 months out of a set of Formula 4s, and here it's been like 2.5 months. What I've found is as I've been skating them, they start to skate worse and worse. And we're gonna take a look on the workbench and compare how much surface area there is now versus, you know, on a new set of wheels. And I think what's happening is the surface areas are wearing down, is getting larger and larger, so therefore they're getting more and more sticky. They're still skatable, and I still really enjoy skating them. I think they're good for my body, but they're not skating as well as they did when they were brand new. Okay, over at the workbench, these Powell Dragons have been on here for 2.5 months. Maybe 5 hours a week or so of skating, so not an intense amount. Typically a set of Formula 4s will last me about 6 months. And you can see just from a diameter perspective, you compare it to a brand new Powell Dragon here, you've lost a little bit on the diameter, but not too much, honestly. But you do see that the surface area has increased, you know, just because of the shape of the wheel here. As you start to wear it down, it goes a wider and wider flat surface. And so as you have that bigger flat surface, that means there's more surface that's making contact with the ground, which means when you try to slide on anything, it just gets harder to do so. And sure enough, there's a few millimeters of extra surface contact there. You know, so that makes a difference. So what I'm gonna do, you can tell that the back wheels have worn down more than the front wheels because I do most of my sliding on those. So I'm gonna do a cross rotate here, insides outs and fronts to backs and cross to cross, and see if that helps a little bit. You know, honestly, I still really like skating them, even though I feel like the skatability is slightly worse than it was when they were new. It's still good enough for me, especially outside the park. All right, so where I live, they just put up this little pop-up. It's got a bank, a little ledge, 3-foot quarter, and then this awesome 12-inch granite ledge, which just absolutely rocks. And you know, the ground here is smooth, but it's not super smooth. And it's so funny, there were some college kids here skating, and one of the guys was also skating Dragons, and you could totally tell because they were quiet, and you could tell they were absorbing shock, and so we got to talking about them for a while. And all the same reasons that I like them. It was good. It was really cool. See if I can hit this granite ledge and get something out of it.
Okay, so let's wrap this thing up. For the last 3 months or so, I've been riding these those Powell Dragons on the blue board. And I have to say the skateability is definitely there. It's a different kind of skateability. So let's talk about that for just a minute. When I go to say, try to slide out a backside 180 off a bank, it works great on the Formula 4s. It does not work so well on the Powell Dragons. You kind of get stuck. But otherwise, the rest of the skateability is actually nicer on the Powell Dragons. I find that they carry more speed. They obviously absorb more impact. Certainly on rough ground, they feel so much better. But even on smooth ground at the skate park, they feel better and they carry more speed. And so I find myself enjoying the skate session better when I'm riding on the Powell Dragons, other than trying to scooch out a backside 180 off a bank. Other than that, I find myself enjoying the skate session better on the Powell Dragons than I do in the Formula 4s. What other kind of a metric are you going to use then? I had a better time skating today, and I felt like I skated better on the Dragons than I did in the Formula 4s. And the whole point of this is it better on my body? And absolutely, I can go for a longer session with these, and I feel like it's making less of an impact, so I can hopefully skate later in life. Now, I think this is also on trend right now. I noticed Bones just came out with their X formula that they said they've been working on for 10 years with similar types of things that they're touting, right? Easier on your body, it has good skateability, but still absorbs more impact, carries more speed, all the same things that I've noticed with the Dragons, they're talking about there too. So I found myself feeling like I would like something that was almost in between these and the Formula 4 99As. And so maybe the X formulas from Bones are going to be that. So I'll definitely try those next. I do find it to be interesting that if they were working on those for 10 years and then Powell came out with the Dragons and Bones came out with the X formula sort of right next to each other. So obviously there's a need here that people are feeling the need. I'm certainly feeling the need. One way I would describe it is if you just do like a pretty high flat ground ollie on the Formula 4s, I mean, it feels like you just jump and land on cement. Whereas if you do just a high flat ground ollie on the Dragons, it's kind of like it feels like you are jumping and landing in grass. Maybe not quite that nice, but at least halfway to feeling like landing in grass. And so if you think about how many times you do that ollie and land motion in a skate session, several hundred probably, every single one of those has more of an impact on you. And so by absorbing some of that impact with the wheels, it allows you to keep doing it longer in your session and hopefully later in life. So I hope you found this to be helpful. I have certainly enjoyed this experiment, and I've enjoyed getting back into skating after my broken foot and Achilles tendonitis. So let's get out there and skate again. And put in the comments of if you've tried these or the X formulas and what your thoughts are, and share with each other. All right, thanks a lot. Sorry it's been so long, and we'll have more coming soon. Thanks.